And I think we will move on to, well, what is our next case, 72?
The next case to be heard is case 2021-072, located at 803 and 805 40th Avenue North. The applicant is here. Is anyone here in opposition to this case? Seeing nobody is present, I will present the slides, and then the appellant can state your name and address. You're welcome to come forward. The requesting a variance from the sidewalk requirements to construct 2 single-family residences within the R6A zoning district. The applicant is requesting to use an alternative sidewalk plan design for his development. Here's a parcel viewer map showing the parcels on R6A. Here's an aerial of the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed development for the site. Street view of the vacant parcel. And the surrounding areas. If you'd like to go ahead and present your case to the board at this point.
Sure, thanks. I'm Roberto Gutierrez. I live at 1916A 16th Avenue North, over in 37208 as well. Yeah, we're requesting an alternate sidewalk plan. I think planning already gave a recommendation to move forward with that as we work through that with Public Works. But long story short, I think there's four power poles on this project. I think a couple of them are NES and a couple of the others are low voltage AT&T. So we're moving the AT&T pole, but towards the, I guess it'd be the west side of the property. There's a really large pole. It's like one of those 100-foot gray NES poles, and over on the 40th side, there's another one. We got with NES about moving those, and at least the really large one, they pretty much said that was just going to be a huge infrastructure undertaking because it serviced so many people. It's not a typical pole that you move, and I think over to the west of this property, there's a bunch of NES infrastructure. So anyways, you can see up at the north side of the property, there's a 45-degree transition for the sidewalk. We would have to do that anyways to tie into the existing sidewalks that don't conform to the standard. So all we're doing there is we're starting that transition probably like 2 or 3 feet before it would start anyways. And then down towards the bottom where there's that curb cut to enter the driveway off of Clifton Avenue. It's kind of hard to see from here, but that's where that other 100-foot pole is, and it's just another little 45-degree angle right there. So we're just kind of avoiding those.
So is this the alternative plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so in your application, I think originally said that you wanted to pay the in lieu fee, but now but you've agreed with planning. Planning had said they would prefer you to do an alternative sidewalk plan, and this is the plan that you've worked out with planning.
Yes, sir. We initially, before applying for the variance, we just tried to do the sidewalk waiver process, and we got denied there. So then we took it here. So
the alternative plan you proposed, I think currently there's a sidewalk that is right up on the curb. So this at least has a grass strip where you can do it working around the poles, and you've worked with planning on this. Okay.
Yeah, it's just too, and again.
It just was a little, this is great to me because it's a little different than your request, which is to pay. And basically what I saw on my page was you wanted to pay and planning wanted you to do an alternative plan. So we were going to have to figure all that out. But
it
sounds like you've already figured all that out.
Yeah, we'd rather just pave it anyways.
All right, good. All right, so I appreciate that. Did you have anything else to add right now? Are there any questions from the board? All right, thank you. Then we will close the public hearing. I think they did our work for us.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion to approve the variance request for the alternative sidewalk as presented during the meeting due to the hardship of not being able to move the poles that belong to NES.
And I'll second that. I have a motion, have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Any opposed? That motion passes. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last case.
Next case is case 2021-073. located at 51 Oldham Street. It also includes 3 other parcels, 212 North First Street, 226 North First Street, and 0 North First Street for the proposed development. And I do not see any opposition in the room, so I'll present the case, and then the appellant will state your name and address and present your case. Here's an overview of the property. They're requesting variances within the minimum, they're requesting 2 different variances for this proposed development. A variance from the required office and non-parking commercial uses along the street frontage for street-level parking decks, and also a variance from the 18 to 36-inch minimum raised foundation on the first floor. The property is within the MUI zoning district, and they're proposing a multifamily apartment development. Here's an aerial view of the property, and the highlighted 4 properties you can see will be combined as part of the proposed development. Here's the footprint of the proposed site plan. These are the renderings that were provided, showing 3 different proposed views, portions of the views, I believe, since the development is pretty sizable. And here are some elevations from the street level and the other elevations. Existing conditions of the site from Oldham Street, Cohen Street, North First Street, and the surrounding areas. Appellant may now present your case to the board.
Okay, thank you. It's kind of a lonely feeling being the last one in the room. Andrew Walters with Catalyst Design Group, 5100 Tennessee Avenue in Nashville. I appreciate everybody's service to this body and the work you could put in. I know it's no small effort. As mentioned, the site is actually several parcels bounded by Cowan Street at Oldham at that intersection, and then does have frontage along First Street. The entirety of the site is located below the 100-year floodplain elevation, which is an interpreted elevation at 415 in this part of town. It is not listed on the FEMA maps for whatever reason. They haven't recognized that there is a hydrologic connection to the Cumberland through here. It is a dedicated storm that goes right to the Cumberland, and it does back up into this zone. And as we remember the 2010 flood, this area was certainly inundated. The only portion of the building that is actually being proposed to be built under that 415 elevation is the parking garage. So that would be essentially what we're allowing to flood in that extreme event. All of the portions of the building, both residential and leasing office, are located above the minimum required elevations by stormwater, and I'll touch on that here in a minute. So the variance we're seeking today is the requirement to screen the street level parking decks with office and commercial uses. We also noted in the variance application there may be a need to have a variance for the raised foundation, because the language specifically notes 18 to 36 inches minimum. It's sort of a weird way to say it. If it was 18-inch minimum, I would say, okay, we're fine. But the fact that it gives a range, I know planning sometimes will sort of latch onto that and say it has to be within that range. So obviously with our residential requirements, it's going to be well above the 36 inches from the street grade. So we did include that as part of our variance request. So our hardships on this project, as I mentioned, really twofold. There is a minimum finished floor requirement in this floodplain for 1 foot above the 415 for any common area leasing. Commercial, any area would have to be at 416 or higher. And then residential would have to start no lower than 420. And so we're quite a bit above the ground just on the residential level. That's 10 feet above Cowan and 6 to 8 feet above First Street just for the minimum residential height, which we're fine with. In a lot of ways, we're supportive of that because we don't want to build residences in an area that could possibly flood, obviously. So that is one thing that's driving this variance request. The other hardship is the requirement to balance cut and fill in the floodplain. And so anything that we do here has to, we can't just simply lift the garage up indefinitely, right? Because then we'd be filling in the floodplain, which is also not allowed from stormwater. So there's a little bit of a balancing act on where to set the garage in terms of the floodplain requirement as well. And so we understand the interest and we think we understand the intent behind the code, and the wording of the code is to help sort of screen a garage. Nobody wants a garage that looks like a garage at street level for the pedestrian. So hopefully the renderings, and I did pass out hard copies for you all to have as well, if it's hard to see on the screen. So our intent has been to work with the architect to screen and to hide the garage so it doesn't look like a garage. And I think we've accomplished that. As you go around the site, you'll notice that the articulation of the building and then sort of the stoops that we do have along Oldham there. But then on both street frontages, what will be presented from the pedestrian level will not look and feel like a parking garage at street level. So we feel as though the intent of the zoning code has been honored by the architecture and what we're trying to accomplish, given our constraints with not being able to actually bring a commercial area down to those street levels with the floodplain being what it is. So with that, I will be quiet and answer any questions that you guys might have.
So it's a massive building, right? I mean, how many units?
It is currently proposed at about 350 residential units. And one thing to mention about that too, Mr. Taylor, the MUI zoning code does require a 0 to 15 foot build-to line.
Right.
So we're sort of required in a lot of ways to push that building out to the streetscape edge, which makes sense in an urban environment. But
Well, and my question was really more related to, and which is, I mean, it's fine that it's a massive building, but that was just how many units. It's a big building, and in the district it's in, it wants 75% of the face to be commercial, the ground,
right.
and totally understand the hardship of the floodplain, but I'm not sure. I guess what I was, there's nothing else around there. So where, to me, the commercial aspect of it is, especially if it's mixed use and you're having a lot of units, is to, you've got some restaurants, you've got some coffee shops, you've got some things that basically keep your residents from having to get in their car to go for everything. And this is a growing area. Some of that's going to change. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that the next parcel over, I'm not sure where you go to get out of the floodplain to have some of these things. And so it made me raise the question, at least, why is there zero retail, and is there a creative way, I mean, if you had, a courtyard with food trucks or something, or just something that was, hey, here the stormy weather's coming, haul them all away so that they don't get flooded, which is, I guess, why you don't want those things in the flood zone. Is there another answer to have some type of commercial amenities for the folks?
Yeah.
Or is that part of the hardship?
No, it's a good question. And honestly, it's as any developer comes in, those are the type of things that we do look at and talk through. And I think the conversation that we had with these folks, what we sort of realize is, even though the minimum requirement for the retail may be a 416, a foot above, in reality, to really lease it up and to sort of say you're protected in your investment to have that, you would want to be higher than that, just in the event that there was a storm. And so that conversation, when now you're talking about setting a retail that's almost a foot above or a story above the street level, is difficult. And the last thing they wanted was to have dark space. Nobody wants that either. So it has to be retail that makes sense. And I think we weren't confident that it was retail that was ever going to make sense in that sense. So that's where we've decided to come this route.
But from your perspective, there's not an option for a creative mobile solution somewhere on the property?
To be honest, we haven't looked at a mobile solution. I think those actually would likely be allowed. I'd maybe lean on Joey's interpretation. I don't see why, if there was an on-street vendor or somebody that had a permit to do that, this would be a good spot, likely with this many residences, to potentially do that. But we haven't specifically looked at that as a part of the development as a feature.
Okay. Other questions?
What's the price point? median price point? Let's just.
That fluctuates, and unfortunately, the developer was ill today and not able to make it up from Atlanta. So he would be better suited to answer that. But yeah, I couldn't even tell you that. I'm the civil engineer on that side of things. I know that multifamily makes sense for folks to develop. It's a worthwhile endeavor at this stage in Nashville's history. So, but I don't have any data on that. I'm sorry.
And since I haven't asked it at any point in time today, trees. I know the renderings we have and what have you, and you've stuck through here a few times when you've heard either Mr. Pepper or myself start talking about our trees, and yes, you've got a few, but you don't get any more.
Yeah, well, so as far as existing trees on the site, it's very urban. It's largely all paved, old industrial property. So there's nothing to save, so to speak. But certainly the new streetscaping ordinance that's in play will be honored, and so that's going to help quite a bit as far as the streetscaping tree requirements that are there. And then one of the things that maybe not perfectly visible is there's an elevated courtyard pool area that's on the middle slide. You sort of see the left side of that. That'll be an elevated pool amenity deck that'll be, heavily landscaped to the degree that we can over top of the garage. And, you see some of the stuff on First Street. We are contemplating bioretention areas that would have some plantings and some vegetation that, again, sort of further the vision of screening what is the garage sort of behind that. So I think we're welcoming of as many trees and shrubs and landscaping that we can get in. It's certainly part of the aesthetic that we want to try to achieve.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this point? All right, anything else to add?
No, sir.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Thoughts?
My thought is this is one I'm glad we have architects on this board for.
Yeah. Well,
I studied it and tried my
Where I
best.
aimed at right off the bat.
and that's the question I'll ask you, the architect. I mean, there's two questions on my mind, and I'll throw it to you all. The first one is, if the zone that it's in really wants you to have pedestrian-friendly retail on the ground floor. The lot that this is on clearly has a hardship with the floodplain, and I understand the solution that's proposed based on that, but I also am missing the creative side of how do you try to accomplish both? And to me, if I would have been much more receptive, and I'm not saying I've made up my mind or anything else on it because we're going to talk about it, but to me, if one of the facades had been pushed back and there'd been just a hair and there'd been a pull out to say, hey, we're going to have, 6 mobile retail places that have to be mobile because of the floodplain, but yet they're going to offer the types of things that, 12 South has and some other, they're just littered now with these little trailers and whatnot that are very popular and very crowded and seem to do real well. But it just seems like, to me, that it's the all or nothing piece of it that I'm struggling with, even though I clearly see the hardship of the floodplain and appreciate what they're trying to accomplish with that.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. It seems like, there has to be some type of strategic, intentional way to incorporate more retail into this scheme, and I'm not necessarily seeing that.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job of screening, in terms of the, design of it. I think they've done a job of massing and kind of, creating enough irregularities and kind of, to make it, it doesn't look like a garage based on these renderings as long as it's, built somewhat along those lines. But, I've also seen, like grocery stores that you have to ride an escalator or, up to, and there are ways to get, commercial space that's above the ground level. Is it ideal? No, it's not. And there is a hardship there, I do believe. But and I I pulled out parcel view real quick, and assuming that there are some near, like across the street, for example, across First, there are some properties there that are a few feet higher that might be a little bit more amenable to having retail uses too. So I think, I don't know exactly, I'm still listening to you guys on, what the, right answer there is, but I do see a hardship, and I think there are other lots in the area that might be better for those commercial uses.
And that may be the answer too. I mean, there are too many neighborhoods that have been kind of deserts for, amenities and grocery stores and that type of thing, and you just don't want to contribute to that. But, like I said, my big question was, the 75% is the requirement. They want to go to zero, and zero may be fine with 4 or more of us, and or we may want to say there's, we want to see something else. So that is just the only aspect of it that is a concern to me. Ashanti, did you have?
Just wanted to let you know, as someone that lived in that area for most of my life, it is a desert. There's no grocery store over there, not even close to a grocery store. There's not even a grocery store on Dickerson Road, so which is just over that. But I do see a hardship, but I'm still listening. I hadn't made a decision, so I was just still listening because I do see a hardship, but I also appreciate the chairman kind of bringing up that other perspective because I hadn't thought about it like that. So,
If I may ask a question of the applicant. That would be...
We can reopen the public hearing for a question, sure.
Okay. So there's a lot of material in here and a lot of different facades, and this is a massive site, as everyone's been saying. Is it just along First Street that the issue with not having the retail, the liner building, I guess, at the parking garage? Is it just First Street, or?
No, it would actually be, like I mentioned in my opening statement, the entirety of the site is sitting below the 415. Now, Cowan is actually down at about 410 elevation-wise, and it is trying to transition up to about 412, maybe a little higher on First Street, but they're all, the entirety of the site sits below that 415. So as you can imagine, any type of retail then that goes in is not going to be able to be at street level for the garage. That's really where we sort of, I think we're sympathetic, if I could just sort of elaborate on that question, to the concept of having retail. I think we're open to working with food truck vendors and people that comes down. It's just the accessory use and attachment to the building at those elevations, that makes sense. That's the hardship. That's the problem. We actually can't do it by code, by other codes. So that's sort of what we're driving for there.
Okay, the renderings looked like there was possibility for retail, but I guess you're saying that's all garage on that level.
Yeah, at that level there, at that street level, that would all be sitting below the 415. So we would have to pitch that up higher even, yeah.
Okay.
So that brings up a good point. So what we're seeing there, kind of on that little raised plinth there, with the kind of 5, 6, punches out. What floor level is that? That is the only section of the building that drops down to the minimum of that 416 elevation, which gives us the ability to have a leasing office presence that's somewhat related to the street. So you can imagine that's still 5 or 6 feet above the street level. Right. So it's not an ideal situation. So that level is like 416. That's right. Okay. Yes, and then the residences would be, beyond that. That does have a taller floor to ceiling in there. Yeah. So really, your only opportunity for commercial space would be on the second floor. That's essentially what it amounts to, and that's where our difficulty lies. Is that's very difficult to lease that type of space up when it's that disconnected from the street level.
So, is there not opportunity instead of a leasing office for that to be retail?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So rather than you have a leasing office on this ground floor, why couldn't that, that be retail? Because I've seen, urban contexts where the leasing office may not necessarily be on the street level. It may be on the upper floor.
Right. That's what we're saying. So it's the fact that you're already so disconnected from the street, right? With that delta, it's the leasability of a retail that's now sitting 5 or 6 feet above the street level is the challenge with that. So it's like, it's one thing for us in this room to say, boy, it'd be nice to have retail, but to actually lease that space to folks that would want to be in that space is very difficult if it's not relatable to the street. And that's where I say, well, I truly mean that. We don't just discount some of these questions when we first talk to developers. We do sort of look at what is the highest and best use, because if a retail component is viable, I think most developers really jump at that opportunity to sort of have that mixed use feel. That's a very common and popular buzzword in the clients that we serve, and they like that when it's appropriate. And that's the difficulty on this one.
Well, I guess I'm sort of going with a little farther than on Mr. Cole's line, and that is there isn't any. I mean, this is a food desert over there. I mean, there's nothing, but yet you're going to have a leasing office in a space that may be the best use for the community, because there's 1,000 people. If you have 350 plus units, multiply it by 2.5, you're over 1,000 people. So they're going to have to hop in the car, hop in an Uber, and go, how close is the nearest?
Probably Germantown.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good ways over there. And I guess that's what I'm, so that, well, hey, listen, I've gone to the farmer's market many a time, but still, it's self-imposed is where I'm coming to now, is you're making a business decision, and trust me, I'm all for business decisions, probably more so than most people. But I also see this can be a really nice community that's got no food. Isn't there? And I'm grasping here, guys, and I'm asking for a little help thinking out
If that's a question for me, I'd be happy to give you my.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please. I'm just looking for an answer.
Well, I think you've raised a good point. I mean, I think, again, there would not be a compelling reason to simply discount retail for the reasons you mentioned. And so I think that speaks to the fact that we've looked at that issue, and it's difficult enough, and the concept of actually providing meaningful retail that a retailer would want, and it wouldn't sit as cold, dark space is concerning. All right. So it's enough of a concern to say, we don't feel comfortable doing that. The second part of this, as you guys know, is River North is coming. There's more development coming. And so I think part of our thinking, I think our clients' thinking, is this is a great opportunity to provide residences to support the office and some of the growth that's probably going to happen. I don't know much about the plans that are moving forward up north, but I would imagine that there would be a lot of that component, again, with that many people there. So I think this is, to us, that we look at this as maybe one of the first phases of an overall fabric that's going to be coming with River North. And I think, again, something like this takes time. You're looking at, probably not even breaking ground for another 6-9 months, maybe even longer than that. You get 2 years to build out. So we're years away, and I think it's a testament to what could happen there at River North. And so, I mean, I think those days are coming. That would be my answer, is that I think we'll get there. It probably is not this project's responsibility necessarily to be able to solve that, given our hardships.
And I agree with you on the ground level. The necessary for, if a retail is going to be successful, it probably needs to have the ability to reach it from the ground. I don't think, I mean, unless you're just I don't know what type of business I would ever propose to have on the second floor or above. I mean, it just seems like it wouldn't be a successful business. It would only have the building as its customer base. But like I said, I would like to, and you answered in part the question of, street vendors and that type of thing. It would have been nice to have seen that as something that was more incorporated and intended. But as you said too, it's a couple of years away, and when it comes time, you'll know what your folks want, and there'll be a market demand for that too. And if these are condos and they don't sell because there's no retail, then I'm sure you'll put those in there. But like I said, it troubled me that it was zero when I looked at it and thought, well, I could have creatively at least shown on a drawing that, here's 3 food trucks on each side that, or, little mini convenience stores or some kind of kiosk that, if it got washed away, could be rebuilt and, is not going to be a big problem. But that was really kind of what I was looking for.
This is more of a question probably for staff, but I mean, the requirements for ground level retail, right? Is that, or with the MULA, is it? I mean, because obviously you can't do it on the ground level regardless because of the floodplain. So what is the exact requirement there?
The code reads for street level parking decks that are located at street level shall have no less than 75% of the lineal street frontage devoted to office or non-parking commercial uses.
Okay, so really what we're looking at is because it's a parking deck. So he could build this on the ground level if he didn't have a parking deck there regardless.
I think the intent is to screen the parking.
Right, which, if that's the intent, then, I mean, like, I guess we're kind of getting some of the public hearing technically, but, I mean, I think it's pretty well screened, quite honestly, and yes, but I think it's in some sense.
All right, well, I'll ask you, are there any other questions for the applicant? Because I did reopen the public hearing for questions. I thank you for reminding me. We'll close the public hearing and finish our discussion that we've been having. Well, and like I said, I think there's a clear hardship. I don't have a problem with, I do think they've screened it very nicely for what it is. I don't have any issue with that. And I just, like I said, was hopeful that there would be more retail intent, and I think that's been expressed. I don't know how I would put that into anything, but and the rest of you may feel like it's fine as is, which is fine by me too. So,
I mean, I'm certainly, sympathetic to the lack of, to the food desert in that area that's been long lasting. I just don't see how you could actually meet the requirements of the code in this respect to screen the parking with ground and retail. I mean, if that's the intent there, is to screen the parking. It's not necessarily to provide a food, a grocery store per se.
Right.
And at this point, they're doing a good job of screening the parking and still providing a pretty good pedestrian experience, quite honestly. It doesn't have retail, but it still provides, you can see this is a nice pedestrian experience. It's not like you're building you have a wide open parking deck underneath there. You see every car that you walk by. I mean, it's a nice pedestrian experience, and they're meeting the intent of the code to screen that parking, in my opinion. So, and there's a hardship there, certainly with the floodplain.
A motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the variance based on the hardship of the floodplain as we discussed.
I'll second. Mr. Cole,
All right, I have a
second.
motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And I think we're done.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.